Well, sorry, everyone that wanted Sunday to be dramatic for all the marbles for a banner because Michigan State. No. We're just going to take that banner ourselves. Thank you very much.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you bet $5 and win that first bet. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth is everyone doing? I'm sorry, let me start that over. Outright Big Ten champion fans, how on earth are we all doing here? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Guys, Michigan State outright Big Ten champions, and what a poetic way to do it. My goodness, they've done it really the way they've been doing it all year. Down big in the first half. They were trailing by as much as 14 against Iowa in this one. Jase Richardson, just a lightning rod of a player, keeping Michigan State in the game. Jaden Akins with a patented quiet first half, great second half offensively. He had Tre Holloman having a marquee moment again. Jake Schemmel, former manager, former banner winner of the Michigan State basketball program, joining the show right now. Jake, could you think of a better way to ice a soul banner for your Michigan State Spartans than what they did in Iowa today?
No, not at all. And before we get into that, I want to read a few things here.
Please.
Wednesday, February 26th, on to Wisconsin. Sunday, that was March 2nd, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pick up the pieces in Iowa City. Actually, all right, but Iowa City it is. Tonight, 7:05 p.m. Sunday for the sole title it is. Sunday for the sole title, but actually. Matt, do you know who on earth would send me those things? Let's look at the timestamps.
Those look like early times, I gotta say. Was the game even tipped off at that point?
These were all before the under 16 media timeout by none other than the host of Locked On Spartans.
Oh shoot, was it him? Oh, not again. Dang it.
Oh
yeah,
man,
whoops.
But what a ride it's been. I really thought tonight was going to be where this team slipped up. I mean, It was, I think the number one stat to take away from tonight was Iowa went on a 22-2 run in the first half, and we were up 20 in the second half. If that doesn't speak what this team is about, that is just, I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable the way that they, our group chat said it best. I think it was Austin that said it, of just, you can't give this team a reason to be pissed off. And that was exactly it right there. And that sparked I think a 31-6 run or 33-12, something like that.
I got some numbers. So yeah, I got the numbers.
Let's hear them. Yeah.
So that is exactly what Michigan State needed, because there was a complete lack of energy. I guess you could say lack of focus. I wasn't going to come on here and start parading that if the game didn't go Michigan State's way. I mean, this team has been dialed during the 6-game win streak, but still a little sloppy at times. You're playing in a gym that I don't even know if it was a fifth full at Carver Hawkeye. You got to manufacture your own energy. And we've talked to former players before that it's not even like the hostile atmospheres like Mackey or Assembly that are hard to play in. It's like these kind of dulcet arenas where you got to manufacture your own energy. And that is what happened. Now, whether it was the hard screen set on Tre Holloman, whether it was his great block, or the one that I have circled when he got in Brock Harding's face, the score was 58-50 in the second half, kind of a sleepy game. And then Tre Holloman has his spark plug moment. And you can kind of tell, too, not to call the guy a wuss or anything, because Lord knows I probably wouldn't react correctly if Tre Holloman did that to me.
He's built exactly like you, so yeah.
He reacted the same way I would, too. He kind of looked like a puppy that put his tail between his legs. So right after Tre did that, got right in his grill, Michigan State, a 33-12 run. And inside of that run, Tre gets in Harding's face at the 11:52 mark. To the 2:43 mark, more than 9 minutes of basketball, MSU just had one scoreless possession on offense. Every other possession was at least a free throw, or if not, another Jaden Akins three-pointer. They needed a catalyst, and boy, did Tre Holloman ever give them one. Or maybe it was that missed block call that gave Michigan State a spark. Whatever it was, thank you very much, because this team needed just some spark, like just something to, hey, shape up and drive it home the last 12 minutes. And, well, hey, Tre, you're a dog, baby. Thanks a lot for what you do. Appreciate you, man. So that's, God, sensational by Tre Holloman. I'm glad you brought up what I do text at you guys. I think now it's the last 6 games, almost immediately, chalking the game up as a loss. I do that mostly, capital M on mostly, in jest, but tonight was actually like the first time where I genuinely thought, yeah, okay, we're down 12. No, maybe not. I'm going to give this team a break for coming off of this 5-game win streak. You're at this sleepy atmosphere against an Iowa team that has, they want to play for memories, a good senior year banquet highlight reel at some point. It is what it is. Whatever, fine. I just can't believe, and silly me for actually believing that they wouldn't do it. So, man, this team is special, Jake. It's just special.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it too, of if we did get the breaks from Michigan's way, there was going to be a slip up, whether it was Wisconsin, whether it was tonight. I was sure of it. And it's one of those things of, a loss at this point of the season isn't always bad. It kind of resets you, especially the way that this team has had of, the last 5 games of the winning streak that they've had. I'd expect to slip up somewhere. And the way that Iowa was zoning us in the first half, it very much felt like an Indiana game all over again. And you start to think about, is this really this team's kryptonite? Like, are we going to run into a mid-major in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament, and it's just going to come back to bite us? But this team has dogs, and it's sounds foolish to say, but they really do. And you see that exactly what happened with Tre Holloman and everything that he did, and especially that officiating on both sides. Both 7 sides. Iowa fans that will listen to this, there were there were as many missed block calls on their end as there were on our end, and it was just that kind of 16-minute mark to the under 8 was just weird officiating. And these guys, Robbie Hummel said it best too, of they play for one another. They don't care who's getting the minutes. They're all cheering. They don't care who's getting the ball, and they just come together and they find a way to get it done, and they get it done in outstanding fashion. So that was what we were down 7-point win. That's a plus 14 swing in the second half. I mean, this team is just, I really don't know what else to say, because it's truly incredible what they've done. And it is a Tom Izzo team of old. And I can speak to your comments too of, I was able to go to Carver Hawkeye my senior year. Okay. And it was, I believe there was a snow day on campus at Michigan State. And so we all the managers flew out, and there was a snow day at Carver Hawkeye. And for those that don't know, it's a very unique arena of when you walk in, you actually walk in on the nosebleeds. So it's all down in the ground. So it's basically in a huge basement. So when you walk in, you go straight down. It's a weird gym. And I mean, for Iowa, and I mean this no disrespect, they have no pro teams in the area. Like Iowa football and Iowa basketball is all they have. And that was a team that I believe Iowa was ranked, or at least they were better than us that year. And we were down big in the first half, and we ended up winning by 8 or 9. And Izzo snapped 3 clipboards. I distinctly remember that, because by the third one, he reamed out all of the managers for not having a 4th clipboard, which I'll leave that where it is. But that is a tough place to play. And we know, I mean, Robbie brought it up. I completely forgot about the last time we played there, and the 13-point lead with 1:30. And I definitely felt like shades of it. And this team got it done, which they've done all season, especially the last 6 games. And it's just been truly incredible to watch.
We're going to give this team their flowers here in a hot second, talk more about, how special they were, what impressed us the most, all this and that. But really quick, just about this game, which has also kind of been a season-long thing. This is going to sound like just sports fan brain rot here. It makes no sense leaving my lips or tongue, whatever you want to say, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, Coen Carr's stats count as double. Like 8 points on the game. He had 6 in the second half. Tell me, like, the way that he shifts momentum single-handedly, that didn't feel like 12 points in the second half. Or his 2 blocks that he had. Tell me that didn't feel like 4 blocks. It's just with the amount of thunder he takes to his dunks, his blocks, his hustle, his defense. Like, when he has a moment, it's not just like, that's a blip on the box score. That's just going to go right there in the score sheet. No. Like, it is a paradigm shifter in the game, just like it was again today. Like, Coen Carr's points, sure, 2 points per dunk. No, these are 4-pointers my man's throwing in right now. How stupid does that sound, Jake? Like, are you going to give me crap for that one, or is that fair?
No, and
Okay.
I mean, even if I was, I'd have to give Tom Izzo crap because he said in his press conference that his dunks are worth 6 points. And
it's one of those short selling him. Oh man,
you're short selling him, absolutely.
Wow. Okay,
but I it was in the last 5 games he had played solid. He had a few stretches, but he's really been quiet this last 5-game stretch. It's really been Fiddler that's come in and kind of stepped in that kind of hybrid 3-4 role. So for us to be successful, it's got to be one or the other. And Frankie didn't have it tonight. He didn't play awful. He didn't play great. He played really middle of the road. But Carr really showed what he can do for this team. And again, give props to Robbie Hummel, former, recurring guest of the show. His defense was absolutely incredible tonight. And he stepped up. He guarded Dix. He guarded Sanford when he needed to. And those huge blocks that he had. And then, his dunks, I mean, he had that lob from Jase, and before he had hit the ground, he was already turned around looking back at the bench cheering. I mean, it's just one of those things of like, and again, it was a simple dunk, but it was still, it's just utterly incredible, his athleticism, and seeing how much he's grown this from not only last year, but this year, the way he's able to defend. He's definitely a huge game changer for us going to make a deep run in this tournament.
I love this team with every fiber of my being. Love them all like family members. We're going to talk more about this team, obviously, Jake, but first, really quick, need to talk everyone's ear off about FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on all that action than with FanDuel. Like I said, guys, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Like, for example, it's not just NBA, guys, but also college hoops. Like at halftime, if you felt the wave of the Michigan State Spartans coming, yes, you could get some live odds on them at halftime. I believe they were getting 2.5 points at halftime. Don't hold me to that, but hey, you know what? If you're feeling frisky during halftime during any of these games, FanDuel is the place to be. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now let's drag him back out here. It's former team manager of your Michigan State Spartans, Jake Schemmel, and really quick before we talk about how special this team is and just wax poetically about these Spartans, I do have one X's and O's question. I've never been around a head coach in the same capacity that you have been at your time at Michigan State, so maybe you can answer this for me. Why on earth did Iowa go away from the zone defense in the second half? Thank you for doing so, but why? Any idea?
I was wondering the same thing. I don't know if it was... I need to look at the stats to see how well we offensive rebounded in the second half. We definitely shot the ball, definitely shot the ball better. But again, going back to the broadcast of, that is the one downfall of a zone, is that you're not going to get offensive or it puts you in a bad positioning for rebounds. And thankfully everything was going Iowa's way. So I don't know if it was we were getting out more in transition. I don't know if it was more we were just hitting a couple shots, or if we were getting more rebounds, but it's definitely, I don't know. It's one of those things of, I just play it to, this team is not a great 3-point shooting team, but when you look at it, they're very good 3-point shooters. Like if you take out this year, Akins is career 38%. Trey is, I think, career 40. This is Jase's first year. He's right around that 39-40 mark. Booker can hit a couple. He came in and hit his, one that he's done, and props to him for his minutes have been reduced, but he's staying locked in for those few minutes that he is getting. And Fiddler has been atrocious, but he, career wise is good. So I don't know if it's just one of those things. If you see him hit 2, it's like, okay, we don't want to stay in this zone and, let them get hot from it. And 2, I also wonder of when you're in zone, you are also playing harder on defense because you're not guarding, you're basically guarding all 5 guys on the floor. So I don't know from a depth perspective if it's wearing them out, but it's definitely an interesting thing. I mean, Fran McCaffrey's not a big zone guy, so I don't know if it's
Right.
just you ride the hot hand and then, hey, okay, this isn't working for us. We're going to go away from it. But it's definitely an interesting thing.
So as we talk about this team, and that's a great answer, by the way, Michigan State, 7 offensive rebounds in the second half. So, like, fine, solid. I mean, just about what you expect from the Spartans. But, yeah, maybe it was the depth because it did seem like Iowa got worn down at the end a little bit, and maybe that was a way to mitigate that damage. But anyway you slice it, Michigan State still wins defiantly. Okay, I know it got a little hairy there at the end, and cowards like myself that have PTSD from 2 years ago, yeah, whatever. They win, only banner. I got just like a silly question, because what is the most impressive part of this season? And there is a trillion ways you could take this. Like, how about this current win streak they're on? Yes, Iowa isn't in the top 20, but no shortage of top 20 teams that they have beat in this now 6-game win streak. Is it just the depth that they're all sharing? Is it that they keep coming back from these double-digit deficits in the first half? I mean, it's a special team. We've said that about 48 trillion times the last month here, but amongst everything, like, what's really catching your eye about this championship team?
I think it's the depth because it goes back to or at least I was on a X, the Everything app space with DK a couple months ago, and this was probably mid-January or so, and there were a few questions from fans of when do we start consolidating the lineup? And it's a very fair question because when you look into March, teams really don't play more than they'll play 7 guys and they'll have one guy that kind of rotates in. And we're definitely, I think we're kind of to start to take that mold right now of we're going to have that kind of core 8 guys that are going to be playing. And then you'll see, Booker, if guys start getting into foul trouble, we didn't see much of Zapala. I think just the depth of this team, and it makes them very hard to beat because if you look at all these games, we've closed with a pretty much different lineup every game. Right. If you need scoring, you go with guys like Tre, Jase, and Akins in the backcourt, and then you can go with Frankie at the 4 and Cooper at the 5. I mean, Cooper's turned into 2019 Clint Capella catching lobs every night from James Harden and Chris Paul the last 5 games. He didn't catch any tonight, but the way that Tre and Jaden have been able to find him on some of those oops has been absolutely incredible. And then you could use that as a defensive lineup where you swap out. You could take Jase out and put Fears in there. Mm-hmm. If you need more offense, you can take Frankie out and you can put Jackson in there at the 4. So I just think the way that this, and then honestly, our 2 7-foot big lineup isn't terrible. If you have to go Cooper and Zapala, depending on how teams match up, I think that is the thing that is most unique about this team is the depth. And, I did some looking. I'll have to look at my stats, but it was going into the California stint. This would have been the highest scoring Izzo team ever with the lowest leading score ever, which just speaks to this, again, what Robbie Hummel said of like, it takes an entire team to buy into all of this and be willing to sacrifice minutes. And it's just, again, I'll go back to Xavier Booker of the way his last few games has been. He could easily check out, and his defense hasn't been great, but he still comes in, he hits a 3, he'll get a block or a good rebound and different things, and he's maximizing those minutes. And it just feels good to know that in a spot where you might have to play him more, that he's at least locked in. He's not totally checked out of the game. And same with Frankie and same with Simone down low. So I think just the depth and the way that this team can close out games with, call it 5 different strong lineups of guys out there makes them a really hard matchup for teams coming deep into this tournament.
And also, too, like, you needed so many guys to develop throughout the offseason, or in Jase Richardson's case, just come to campus already developed. So, because there's so many question marks going into the season of like, okay, well, for things to break right for Michigan State and to have a good season, I think we listed like 14 question marks going into the season. You needed half of them. And amongst them was, hey, yeah, you do need Jase Richardson to be ready to play college basketball. Now, at this level, no one could have possibly seen this coming. Like, we thought he was going to be a plus player. Never did I see him being like a surefire top 10 lottery pick. But you also needed Jackson Kohler to develop too after his shortened sophomore season, right? He's a rebounding machine, one of the elite rebounders in Michigan State history. Jaden Akins, arguably the defensive player of the year in the Big Ten. Just like you mentioned too, Carson Cooper has really come along late offensively and defensively. Like, is he going to be a first-team All-Big Ten player? I'm going to go ahead and guess no. But hey, tell me he's not making an impact on the court in both ways. So amongst all these guys, and maybe Jase is the obvious one here, what surprise emergence has really impressed you the most? And if it is just obviously Jase, like, who else deserves some love behind him? Who gets the silver medal here?
You have to give it to Jase just because, I mean, he's turned himself into a lottery pick.
And it's every night, too. It's crazy. Yeah, it's every night.
And this, I mean, this game doesn't happen if it's not a 7-point game at halftime without Jase Richardson. It just simply is not. If we have beginning of the year Jase Richardson, and it's not that he was bad, but it's just if he was playing like the way that he was at the beginning of the year, it's a 10, 12-point game easily. So his dog mentality, but really, I would argue kind of like the team MVP, it might have to be Jackson Cole.
Okay,
the way his key offensive rebounds to close out games, his free throw shooting has been reliable, and just he brings the energy. And I mean, we'll be down 15 and he gets an and-1 and he is screaming louder than anyone in the gym. And I just think for his impact on the stat sheet from a rebounding perspective has been absolutely incredible for still a guy that if you put him and I in a pro combine, measurables are pretty dang close. Like
you're 6'10", so that makes sense, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm going to physical therapy for a bad back at 32, but nonetheless, we could still be pretty close in terms of those combine metrics there. But his energy is unmatched. He is always cheering guys on. He is always picking guys up, and just he comes in and does the dirty work, and he wants none of the shine, and he gives it to everyone else. And I just think the way that he is, because that was honestly and we all know it, that was our biggest question mark coming in was what was our post offense and post defense going to look like, and how is this team going to rebound? And we're a top 5 national team ever. We're on track to be like a top 5 rebounding team or Izzo team ever. We have a plus rebounding margin of, it's got to be around like 9, 10, something around those numbers. So, and it all starts with him. I think he helps elevate Cooper and Zapala and Booker to help hold down that role, and just what he's done, I think is deserving of that. I think the biggest growth has to be Carr, of just what he has done on the offensive end and being that wing attacker and everything. But I just think the team MVP of just from the energy that he's bringing and all of the dirty work and the key rebounds that he got at the end of the Michigan game. He had some key ones at the end of the Illinois one and the Wisconsin one as well. Those are things that go left unsaid, but he has done a phenomenal job at holding it down low for us.
Unquestionably. And also, we got to talk about the guy at the top of all this, your former boss, Tom Izzo. But really quick, guys, need to talk everyone's ears off about Nissan. That's right. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X, the numbers are an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada PRO-4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada PRO-4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Now let's drag him back out here, the one, the only Jake Schemmel here. And if Tom Izzo isn't the Big Ten Coach of the Year, Grand River runs red with the blood of the Big Ten office, right? Or whoever decides this thing. Point blank, that might be an easy question, but I'm willing to do whatever.
No, just especially the way that Michigan has ended their season, I think a week and a half ago, I think Dusty May absolutely was deserving of it, from taking over an 8-24 team and bringing in
fair.
like 8 or 9 new guys, 2 returners. What he's been able to do for them, I think it was very, very well deserving. But the win stretch that this team just went on, and if they win Sunday, we're going to win the Big Ten by 3 games.
Insane.
At 17 wins, it's got to be his best coaching year ever. Just, I mean, from what this team has done and
Sure.
the way they have, I mean, just the last few years have been rough, and there are definitely teams that have had it worse than us the last couple of years, but the turnaround into, an 09, 10 type team of just that dog mentality and the way that just,
Yeah.
again, the way that they're scoring, and it's a different leading scorer every night. It's incredible what this team has done, and it's the incredible job that quote that he had at the end of last year. If we get a run in March, I mean, all hats to him, because he did exactly what he said he would, and I had no doubts that he would be able to do it. But it's been pretty dang incredible how he's been able to do it.
Yeah, on one hand, it's just how much of a leap they've taken from the last few years to here. It's not like they got a little better. Well, no, they're clearly the best in the Big Ten. And also, when the all Big Ten teams come out, there's a very, very realistic world where Michigan State doesn't have anyone on that first team or the second team. And I don't know how many they'll even have on the third team, to be honest. I mean, you could maybe, very realistically, of course, Michigan State fans won't doubt this, see Jase Richardson on the all-freshman team. But there is a weird world where he's maybe not even on that in the Big Ten. But so, again, it all goes down to the depth, but to do that, you need a cultural buy-in. You need to roll the clock back to what your bread and butter was as a program, and he's been able to do it all. So he's got to be Big Ten Coach of the Year, or I will look like Izzo after someone misses a box out. I will be red in the face, screaming with all my veins popping out of my neck.
Or like Jaden Akins missing a dunk with 14 seconds left.
I thought that was going to kill him. I thought that was finally going to be the thing that hasn't kicked the bucket on the sidelines, but he even made it through that. So good on you, Iron Tom Izzo. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree, and they were, again, talking about it on the broadcast of, I don't think Jase Richardson will be first team all Big Ten. And that's no disrespect to him. I think that's just how heavy the top of the league is for talent. He should be second team all Big Ten. I'd have to look at who else is up there. He very well could be a third team all Big Ten, and that's the only guy that we have. Jase could be Jase or maybe, or not, or sorry, Jaden or maybe Jackson might sneak in there. But that is the thing that I think speaks most to it of, we will be 17-3, won the league, potentially 17-3, potentially win the league by 3+ games, and not have anyone on the top two teams of the league.
That screams Coach of the Year. Like that sounds like a no-brainer to me. Look, really quick, I did want to get into this just because you've been inside the program, and sorry we're going a little on here. Mr. Lockdown's not going to be too happy with this one, but that's okay. Because one of the big stories of this season is obviously how they dug themselves out of a hole. And no, I'm not just talking about pick your game where they were down double digits in the first half, but they lose 3 out of 4 in the middle of the year. Of course, everyone knows what we're talking about here. And that happens every year to pretty much every team in college basketball. You're going to hit a rough patch, have some adversity. When that happens at Michigan State, what does Tom Izzo do? Does he change a lot? Does he mix things up? Is it more of just like business as usual and the team will start clicking again? Or when you think of adversity-filled moments back at your time, like what do you think of here?
A lot of long practices.
Okay.
A lot of long film sessions.
Gotcha.
But, for this team specifically, with the way that they started Big Ten play, I don't know if there's too much to change, because at the end of the day, like, they were struggling to shoot the ball. So it's just, okay, at some point we know, hopefully this team will start shooting it better. But I think the adjustments that were probably and had to have been made were just, especially after that Indiana game, are teams are going to zone us. So we have to be very well prepared, and we have to have the right lineups in for the game, everything like that. But no, I think every situation is different, but in that rough stretch, the intensity picks up. I mean, it's no different than exactly what you saw on the sidelines tonight when he freaked out on Jaden for missing that dunk at the end of the game. I mean, he is that time, again, when they're number one in the Big Ten, or when you're like me, my senior year, and you're worried that you might be the team that breaks Izzo's streak. There's just a lot of getting back to basics, a lot of time in the film room, a lot of time breaking down practices, what we're doing on offense, what we're doing on defense. But I think for this team specifically, it was hey, we got out to a really great start. We know we need to shoot better, but at the same time, we have guys that are all bought in. And you saw the clip from I think it was Jeremy, right, at the end of the Michigan game, when he's in the huddle saying that like they're scared of us, they don't want us, anything like that. It's a mentality thing. And if you can instill that mentality, and it's been very apparent that this team has had it all year long, I don't think there's too much changing outside of just, hey, let's be prepared for the zone and how do we attack it? And if teams are going to do it to us, how are we going to make them pay? And they've definitely answered that bell, and within these last 6 games have made teams pay for it.
Just an incredible season. I'm glad this team gets to be remembered forever. And of course, you say that about every team that wins a conference banner, like Tom Izzo has done 11 times. But just everything that we've talked about, I can't say it enough. From getting out of the hole that they were in the last few years, for the full-on buy-in, just the egoless persona of this entire team from top to bottom, like they deserve to be remembered forever. And they will be in a very busy rafter area of Breslin Center. It's just beautiful, Jake.
Yep.
Oh man, a lot more season to go. Jake, can't thank you enough, my man. You are free to go, of course. I will be talking about Andy Isaac here for a hot second. I would regret if I did not have a few words about, one of just not my friends, but seemingly the friends of thousands of people. So Jake, you're the best, my man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andy was a great guy. Yeah. My high school best friends, we all have a fantasy football league that's been going on for 15 plus years, and we always share Andy videos and everything like that. So I know you're going to say some great things about him, but we lost a phenomenal person today. And be kind to everyone and go green and FTB in honor of Andy.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm excited to text you within 2 minutes of the Michigan game on Sunday saying, you know what? We're leaving in the first round. Getting upset by 15. See, I can't wait to do it, Jake.
I hope you don't have to text me. I hope that you can say it to me in person. Wink, wink, Garrett Brenningstool.
Make the magic happen.
All right. See you, Maddie. Go green.
The best. Go white. All right, everyone. Yes, I'm sorry if no one's really in the mood right now to make it somber, but I would be incredibly remiss if I did not talk about Andy Isaac to end the show here. And just like Jake said, just like you've probably seen online, he's passed away at the age of 45 after a long 2-decade battle with cancer. Detroit sports mega fan and also huge Michigan State fan and alumni. And say this with 100% sincerity, like not just preserve the moment. Oh, someone passes away, you want to be nice. No, this is 100% earnest, like the most genuine and kind soul that has probably ever walked the planet as far as I'm concerned here. Now, if it seems like I'm person number 1,000 sharing their story, or you talk about Andy, and if it seems like that Andy had 1,000 friends out there, well, that's because that's just the kind of person he was. He genuinely had this much time for everyone. Like how he had the time, the bandwidth, and just also the true care for everyone that he came by is mind-boggling and outright special. I mean, stories just of him reaching out to people, whether he caught wind of someone that had a family member that has cancer or that person themselves had cancer, being someone that has gone through it for a decade plus like Andy did, he would reach out to them and not just like, hey, thinking of you. No, he would check back in with those people to see how they're doing, their family members are doing. He would surprise people just with little thoughtful gifts and care packages whenever he seemed that it was, an appropriate time, which for Andy and his kind heart was quite often. And, just a personal story on my end, I got to meet him at the Thy Shadows event. That's when Michigan State dropped their all-black football jerseys a few summers ago. And, they had a lot of internet people up there, the influencers, if you will. And he was by far the biggest name there, right? He should have had everyone flocking to him to talk to Andy Isaac. Holy crap, we love you, World of Isaac. This is great. He went up to everyone else. He made it a point to buy every single person he talked to a drink. He talked to people and not just in a small talk, hey, I'm just doing this to be nice, just to pass time. No. When he asked a question, he was just full effort, listening, interested in what you've done, what your life is, your family, your work. It was genuine small talk, and that is a lost art in today. So a few years ago, you know what, just for another personal story, I was in need of a guest here on this show. I had someone cancel late, and I had a panic tweet hey, who wants to talk Michigan State? He's way bigger than this. He's way bigger than anything like this. And he messaged immediately saying, yeah, Sure, I'll do it. I'll talk Michigan State. Like when we got PFT commenter of Part of My Take On a few years ago, it was Andy Isaac that put it over the edge because he knows PFT a little bit more than I do. I'm a total stranger to him, but he tweeted at him, and that's really what gave PFT the nudge to come on this show. Like we messaged back and forth here to there because he always made time for everyone. I don't know how it was possible that Andy Isaac seemed to live more than 24 hours in a day, but he made time for truly everyone. And again, like these are just all the small stories about him. But when you pile small stories like that on top of everyone else's, like you get this mountain. Like you get a clear picture of who he was. Someone that was kind, genuine, and cared. So I urge everyone, like listening, just please, next time you're out there, do something to continue his legacy, even if it's just for a few days, weeks, months, or hey, the rest of your life, if you really have the gumption to do so. Like ask questions and actually listen to someone, even if it's just little small talk. Maybe it's a big conversation. Be engaged in it, just like he was for everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone that has ever wanted to talk to him. He made time for everyone. Make time for the people in your life. Perform a random act of kindness, or guys, even if it's just this, even if you only have time for this, enjoy a great meal. Because there's nothing that Andy Isaac loved more than that. He made Fatterday a thing. He is just, by all account, a legend. And we're going to miss him. Miss him right now. Then I'm going to end this before I start crying here on a camera in front of an empty basement studio. But guys, love you all. Genuinely mean that. Rest in peace, Andy Isaac, one of the greatest people to ever walk the earth. And I cannot say that with enough sincerity. Just the best. All right, guys. Love you all. Go green. Celebrate this title. We'll see you guys tomorrow.